brothers and sisters, they are there. We are not lost. We are scattered. We are original Hebrew.
Let's go! All praises be to the Most High God. Yeah, I say it.
I was opportune to meet my grandparents, whom from childhood had always made us to understand that we are one of the lost tribes of Israel. Okay. So, from my grandmother,
ancestors are sitting on this table all the way back to Nigeria. All of them. My ancestors were Igbos from Nigeria, and Igbos are called black Jews,
Right? Now look at these. I'm telling you, I gotta show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. What's up, BZ Dynasty? This is your boy, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JBZion. Shalom, shalom, and welcome back to the channel, Zion Dynasty family. First, I want to say shalom to all my Israelite brothers and sisters. I love you guys. We couldn't do this without y'all. Y'all keep me pumped. You keep me stoked to keep these bangers coming. Oh, wait. Keep these bangers coming. And secondarily, I want to say peace, love, and blessings to all the sincere Gentile brothers and sisters that support as well. I love you guys. I know how much it takes, right, to put your neck on the line, to stand with Israel, to rock with Israel, to support this truth. And I love you guys. So without further ado, we finna jump right into it. So it's a lot of videos y'all gotta check out. According to the analytics, more than half of y'all are not subscribed that watch. Y'all just click the button, me brother, join the movement, right? Because I'm going to keep these bangers coming. I'm going to keep this history coming. I'm going to keep this knowledge. I'm going to keep our heritage coming. Yoruba Ephraim of the tribe of Joseph, of the son of Jacob, i.e. an Israelite. So we're going to delve into this science today, y'all. Well, okay, as you guys saw in the title of the video, is Islam the black man's religion, right? That's a loaded question. It's a lot that goes into that and a lot of history. A lot of that history comes from the Moors. Y'all check out all those videos. We've been talking about the Jews and the Moors of Spain. We've been talking about the Nigerian Sephardic Jewish exiles. We talked about the oral tradition of the Yoruba, that they have this exilic oral tradition that they were banished from Spain in 1492 by King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella, and that they migrated into Morocco and later migrated to modern day Nigeria. The Igbo have a similar oral tradition. There are so many Lam, Negro land, West African tribes that do as well. We talked a lot about that. So today's video, we're going to be dealing with Islam, you guys, and we're going to set this up for when we go into the Nation of Islam, when I prove to you guys that the Nation of Islam, the black Muslim organizations, the Moors, Moor Science Temple, Moor Zion Temple, all of these black power movements are saying the same thing. When you look at the conception of these groups, right? Their founding fathers, if you will, all believed that black people were the biological descendants of the children of Israel. So that's why we're going to do this video on Islam, because a lot of pro-black woke people argue that Islam, you know, they even see this and think I'm a Muslim, I'm gonna blow up a plane or something, right? A lot of people argue that Islam is the rightful religion of the black or African people. We're going to deal with that. But we're gonna do a quick review real quick. So you guys check out that last video where I went into Negro DNA found in the land of Israel. This ain't no joke, y'all. That wasn't no clickbait. There are actual archaeological sites, digs that have been done that go to Harvard, that come from Cambridge, that come from Oxford, where they have linked sub-Saharan Negro, specifically Yoruba DNA, to ancient Israel, or ancient Netufia, right? So this predates the Jewish people of 1948, Ashkenazi or Germanic Jewry. This goes back before that, you guys. This is ancient Israel we're talking about. This is where you get into E1B1, which is the father of E1B1A. They have found, wait a second. Okay, I got a couple of articles for you guys. Y'all check out that video, because I ain't finna pull that. I got some Harvard documents, Harvard genetic studies that have been done. And I think this is just a Wikipedia on EP2. EP2, I'm gonna give y'all a quick breakdown. EP2 is around 75 to 80% of the continent of Africa. I will repeat, the paternal haplogroup EP2 or E1B1 is the largest haplogroup family in Africa, reaching from 75 to 80%. And I had some Harvard studies that showed E1B1 in ancient Israel. Y'all check that video out. So we're gonna deal with the Moors a little bit, you guys. So as you guys know, African Americans, so-called, Crayola color blacks, so-called, we are actually Moorish descendants, right? So we went into the Moorish breakdown. We saw that Moor is similar to black, similar to Negro, but it also adds a historical context, right? Just like Negro, was used firstly in 1555. It is Spanish and Portuguese in origin. So the word Negro is a Spanish word because we're Spanish, Sephardic, Israelite descendants, right? E1B1A, transatlantic descendant people. We come from West African tribes that have this oral tradition, right? So Negro is Spanish. Moor is also a Spanish word because Moor was used during the time of the Moors, right? From 711 when they ruled to 1492 when they were banished, right? The Moorish people were the African, Maghrebian, that North African region, right? Morocco, Algeria, Libya, the Maghreb region of Africa. These were the indigenous Amazigh Berber Moors that we talked about. Daya, El Kahina, Abraham Ha-Afrati, the Afriat Ephraimite family of Morocco, the Jewish virtual library. We talked a lot about that stuff, you guys. So we also looked at, y'all check this out, Light and Truth. Y'all get this book. It's on Amazon. So Light and Truth showed us some powerful stuff, y'all. That the word Moor, or black or Moor, or Negro, or swarthy, or nigger, all of this falls under Moor in terms of its definition. We also see the white people in this book do a wink wink moment where they say that the Micah, the Morashite prophet, was sent to the Moors or the Judeans, right? So we see that they knew that the ancient Moors were Israelites. The indigenous Moors of North Africa and Spain or the Iberian Peninsula were actually Israelite descendants, right? The word Moor just means Negro, right? Or dark-skinned African indigenous people, which ethnically speaking, they were tied to the ancient Ivri or Iberian Hebrew Israelite people. We went through that, you guys. Right. So not just that. I showed you guys the textbook of the origin of the colored people that goes into these black Portuguese that were planted on the west coast of Africa when they were banished. King Manuel, King Ferdinand, Queen Isabella, all of these Europeans were kicking out these Moors, these Israelites, because they was tired of the monopoly we had on the money and all that stuff, y'all. We ran away with the bag on the Moors. So the European North was at war against the Moorish South. Now I will repeat, some Moors practiced Islam. They're setting it up for today's video. And a lot of them practiced Torah. Cities in Spain such as Granada, specifically the Albayacin district. Y'all check out that DNA video. The Albayacin district, which you will find on your My True Ancestry, was the Jewish ghetto quarters. It became the Jewish ghetto part. It was on a hill. Albayacin is a hill in the district of Granada. But indigenously, Albayacin was the hub for the ancient Iberian or Israelite David families. These Israelites that had migrated, that had been in Spain since antiquity, right? So we saw in this book that these black Portuguese planted themselves on the west coast of Africa. A lot of them were banished. A lot of them escaped out of Portugal and Spain. But also in point number 2 on the last page of this book, it says that we find an original colony of Judeans originally from Judea who are blacker than Africans who are black, right? So we went through that history. We also, you guys, talked about J.A. Rogers. J.A. Rogers is another scholar that talked about the prominent Sephardic Jewish families, right? That were Negro. The Yahya Negro family, the Abarbanel family. They changed their name to the Mendez when they were trying to blend in and be crypto Jews, when our people were trying to pretend like we were Christians. And not just that, but we talked about the havoc that the Christian church was wreaking against Israelites. Harvard level scholarship. Joseph Kristoff, The Jews and the Moors of Spain. The online copy even has the Harvard stamp in it, but this copy I got off Amazon. But so the Jews and the Moors of Spain talks about how our forefathers, if they found out you were naming your kids Hebrew names, if you were trying not to eat pork, if you kindled a fresh fire on the Sabbath, if you wore fresh clothes on the Sabbath, if you kept feast days like the Day of Atonement, they investigated your black behind, and if they could prove it, they would give you an opportunity to convert to Christianity, or they would burn you on Sunday worship services. Watch this now. So we talked about the Jews of Spain and Portugal by E.H. Lindo, Harvard stamp. I'm gonna show that on the screen, right? He talked about how a Negro who they found out was a impostor, they investigated him. They called heresy to this Jew, this Israelite that's practicing Torah, and they grabbed him by the hair, because a lot of our people went natural, grabbed that Negro by the hair, and burned him alive at the doors of the church. Why these white European Christians of the North are crying, hallelujah, praise Jesus. This is history. This is Harvard. This is scholarship. This ain't even up for debate. This ain't no conjecture or no emotional Israelite. This is factual. Straight receipts I'm dropping, right? So, not just that, y'all, but we talking about how in 1492, when our people were banished, the professor, the historian, Heinrich Gratz, he estimates that somewhere between 400 to 800,000 Israelites fled out of Spain when they were banished, and they went into Morocco. I'm gonna show that on the map, that Gibraltar Straits that connects Spain and Morocco. You can walk into Morocco. It makes the most sense. The Christians are up north in Europe. Our people got banished. They went straight into Africa. That's the first place they went. The Jewish people will say that they airlifted all these Moroccan Jews somewhere between 350,000 and took them to the land of Israel. That is not factual. A lot of these Moroccan, Sephardic, prominent Israelite families migrated into West Africa, you guys. And we see that in the critical annals of literature, where they were banished, and it even calls them the Negroes, right? They were despised by their own people, right? Because you had different things going on in Africa. You had a lot of different Israelite groups. You had some black Portuguese that they had converted to Christianity, that they planted in Africa to try to corrupt the Israelites that were doing their own thing already in Africa. It was a bunch of chaos. So in the slave trade, if you hear somebody say, well, y'all saying Hamites sold other Hebrews, I'm gonna be honest, you guys. There were Hebrews selling other Hebrews. There were other Israelites, chieftains in West Africa, among the Igbo and the Yoruba and the and Gadangbe, all these people. They were other Israelites, y'all. Let's just keep it straight. That were selling Israelites. There were some Hamites that were selling out Israelites, but there was some Israelite on Israelite crime as well, you guys. Why? Out of fear, right? Our people were afraid. They're trying to protect themselves, so a lot of them just turn their back on their own people. This is just history, you guys. I just got to keep it straight. So we talked about the oral tradition of a lot of these West African tribes that confirm all of this history, that a lot of these foundational tribes like the Igbo and the Yoruba of Nigeria, their origin is Israel via Eri, the 8th son of Gad, and Oduduwa, who is one of the descendants of King Jeroboam, where the name Yoruba comes from, King Jeroboam, Samuel Johnson. They named it after the people's oral tradition. Their origin being linked to Israel is different from the Sephardic families that were coming in. The B'nai Ephraim group that came among the Yoruba knew that the Yoruba were their people, right? So I'm gonna show y'all some scholarship. Harvard, Dr. Tudor Parfit, in his Black Jews of Africa and the Americas, talks extensively about the origin of the Yoruba being tied to Israel. Now, he doesn't really necessarily try to defend it. He just lists this what the people been saying. He tries to take an objective standpoint, which I ain't really mad about. But he talks about that in his Harvard textbook about the Yoruba and the Igbo. His protege, Edith Bruder, an Oxford level in the Black Jews of Africa, she talks extensively about the Yoruba, the B'nai Ephraim on pages 145 to 148. So, but not just that, you guys. I already talked about Dr. Rudolph R Windsor. He's where a lot of Israelites talk about the over 1 million Jews upon the fall in 70 AD of the Jerusalem temple. Over 1 million fled into Africa. But he also talks about the Yoruba B'nai Ephraim. That's another source. So, and I think we already mentioned about Oladuda Equiano, how he talks about, now this is the first autobiography by a black person, and this was published in 1787. He talks about the customs of the Igbo being directly tied back to the practices of the Jews, 8th-day circumcision, 8th-day naming ceremonies, the purification ceremonies and sacrifices, circumcision. Y'all check this out. The Nigerians have the highest rate of circumcision in the world. So when you hear that Christianity, oh, you know, these white folks brought us Jesus. Our people already had Yeshua. We already had the tenets of Torah, the prophets, the laws, statutes, and commandments, and we were keeping them higher than any other people. To this day, we're still practicing that. The Igbo and the Yoruba in Africa, higher than any other people in the world. This was always our culture, you guys. They don't eat pork to this day. I talk to a lot of Yoruba family, and I'm so grateful for this platform, this channel, that I get to interact with all these brothers and sisters that vouch for everything I'm saying. So yeah, I got receipts, I got Harvard, I got Cambridge, Ulysses Santa Maria, the oral tradition, I got the Jewish Encyclopedia, I got Yoruba experts and people that live over there, people that are in the Americas that come from that people, that know the oral tradition. Facts, receipts, y'all. We ain't playing with it, right? Ain't no more calling myself no Crayola color. We got receipts. So now, you guys, we're gonna go back to the whole Moorish and Islam discussion. With all this being said, is Islam the religion of the black man? I know that was a long kind of prelude to it, but, and I went that route to kind of show you we are Israel. But if you go to Africa, you will find a great deal of Islamic Muslim practicing Africans, specifically located in the northern regions. And even if you look at Nigeria, the Hausa of the north are more known for practicing Islam than the south. The Yoruba is like a 50-50 toss-up, and then the Igbo are predominantly keeping Torah, or they're Christians, right? So a lot of Africans will say, well, I come from Mecca and the Prophet Muhammad, this, that, and the other thing. You have to know the history. You guys check out that DNA video that I dropped yesterday. But in that video, it talks about how a lot of our forefathers were forced to convert to Islam. I repeat, a lot of Torah practicing Moorish Israelites were forcibly converted to Islam. This is where you get to the Maghreb, Morocco specifically. In Morocco, they were making these Israelites that were well known to have lived there, making them either convert to Islam or you gonna die, right? So now this was really an internal fight within a family, if you understand history, because all of these Moors we've already went over were Israelites by ethnicity, but a lot of them practiced Islam. The question, JB, is why? Okay, now there's a lot of different reasons. I'm not saying that my explanation is the chief reason. But in Arabia, you had a lot of diaspora Israelites that had lived there. You had some in Spain that we talked about, and you had a lot in Africa. Islam was this fresh wave, this fresh revelation, if you will, that if you look at the tenets, it does not go against anything that's in Torah, but it doesn't add anything either. So it's really like somebody doing their own thing, basically. But it caught a lot of steam and was able to unify Arabia, Africa, and the Iberian Granada Israelites. It was able to unify them, kind of like the Nation of Islam. A lot of the Nation of Islam know that we're ethnically Israelites. Louis Farrakhan, a lot of these leaders, and I've done videos on that, and I can do some more, but you guys check those out. A lot of the Nation of Islam know who we are. But the Nation of Islam, if you look at it, is more organized, more well-known than Hebrew Israelites. Us saying that we're Israel is kind of a fresh awakening that the Most High is doing in this season. But we being the people has always been. But in terms of a massive group, a massive awakening, this is a fresh thing. Why do I bring this up? Because of the organization that the Moors that practice Islam had, they were able to galvanize so many of our people that they told those that practice Torah, they said, well, you stop doing it. And a lot of contention that the Israelites that were Muslims had towards Torah was the Christians. Because the Christians were trying to Christianize the earth, and the Roman Catholics had adopted Christianity as the major religion, they drew a lot from Torah, right? And they used that to substantiate oppressing Israel. They said y'all killed Yeshua. A lot of what you're keeping your heritage is closed-minded and discriminatory against other nations, and y'all think you better than everybody else, but the gospel helps save everybody. The same stuff Christians telling Israelites today. So our Islamic brothers said, no, we're gonna do Islam. We don't even want to be associated with them folks over there. We want to have a whole nother thing, even though we know they were the people. That was the weird thing. So this is where Islam kind of got rolling fast. And a lot of Israelites will say, well, I can go with that. I mean, we know we're the people, right? So they converted to Islam. And then they got higher ranked in society during the time of the Umayyad Caliphate and these different Moorish dynasties, the Nasrid and that kind of thing, right? So our people had a long history of becoming Muslims. This is why in Africa you got this beef where some people say that they Islamic Muslim, they come from Muhammad and Mecca, and this whole train of thought that's mainly in the north of the continent of Africa, but you'll find some even in Nigeria, but in the northern region. But really, when you go Bantu and that, you know, when you go sub-Saharan, it's a lot of Christianity, and then you got Torah, and you got some weird pagan stuff as well. You have that with all people. But the point of me saying that is because it was so concentrated in the north, where Arabia was and where the Iberian Peninsula is, that's why today a lot of northern Africa is Islamic in religion. A lot of the flags of these countries have different Islamic imagery in them, right? Why do I bring this up? Islam is a originally black religion, right? It is indigenous to the continent. If you look at Arabic and you look at Hebrew, these are daughters of the African culture itself. But when you look at Islam, Islam stood out because it really didn't have any external European influence. You didn't see any really too many European Muslims. Now you had some sprinkled throughout, but it was primarily a rallying cry for the continent of Africa. That's why you associate Moor with the religion. You might see people say that Moors were people that practiced Islam, but you might see people say Moors were ethnically African. They became synonymous. It was the African rallying cry. That's what Islam was. This is the danger of that. I'm being objective as I can to let you guys know that yes, Islam is an indigenously African religion, but it's the same snare that European Christianity is, you guys. It has a lot of elements of defending God's people. Christianity comes from God's people. I mean, Christianity doesn't have a leg to stand on. And I'm talking about the Roman Catholic foolishness, right? It doesn't have a leg to stand on without the people of the book, without the heritage of the Israelite people. Islam's whole gravitas was that it unified a lot of these African Israelites and conquered our oppressors during that period. So this is where you get into the Nation of Islam. Well, it started with the Moor Zion Temple, the Moor Science Temple, the Nation of Islam, right? Why they feel that Islam is for us as a people, because it was how we overcame white supremacy in past dispensations. This is the stumbling block. Deuteronomy 28 prophesies that this would happen. He says that you would serve gods that neither you nor your forefathers have known, wood and stone. The Kaaba stone, the Roman Catholic cross, right? Because these were never what God meant for his people. The Most High Yah never meant for us to have some organized religion we were part of. Our culture, our heritage, the way we ate, the way we lived, the way we kept Shabbat, the way we taught that to our kids, that was supposed to be our service to the Most High. our service to the Creator, was guarding our heritage, was keeping this not from a legalistic standpoint, but this is just who we are. This is who our God says we are. This is the lifestyle that he has given to us, right? The Most High divided each nation and gave them their roles and responsibilities. Israel's was to guard Torah. So the stumbling block is Islam is this dangling toy that in captivity has a lot of our brothers and sisters that are for our liberation, that are for us being autonomous. They go that train of thought. But the only way to unify us as a black people is our ethnicity. And historically, we have always been tied to the Israelite tribes of Africa, right? Of Afriat, of the Maghreb, right? So you guys, I'm gonna show you one final reference in the Jewish Encyclopedia, right? We're gonna read 2 of the pages where it talks about how a lot of the Jews, the sephardic Israelites, converted to Islam by force of death, right? And Askia Muhammad, around the same time that we were banished in 1492, went on a campaign of finding Israelites and saying, you ain't going back to that. You're staying with Islam. Or they were put to death or sold into slavery. There are slaveries that are still going on in Africa to this day where Islam is the ringleader of that stuff. Islam has been forcibly converting our people for a long time. So despite its claim of unifying the black race, historically we see that during the time of the Moors to an extent that has never been who we are. That was some Arabian stuff that Muhammad came up with. And despite its intentions that may have been this or that, that wasn't what we were supposed to be keeping as Israelite people. We were supposed to be keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. So let's look in the Jewish Encyclopedia and read a little bit, shall we? So in the Jewish Encyclopedia on page 450, I'm gonna start at the 2nd paragraph. Well, no, let's go back to the 1st paragraph. I just saw something. The ancient links between Jews and Ethiopia and active Jewish proselytizing on the coast in the interior left traces of Jewish tradition and practice among the Ethiopians, the Berbers, that's the Amazigh people, and some African tribes. Now, you know they're going to try to minimize this stuff. In the 7th century, Arab invaders record only small scattered Jewish communities. And these lost the Greco-Roman influences and became Arabicized in tradition and language. Let's go to the 2nd paragraph. In the 11th century, under Muslim rule, conditions for the Jews were generally good, but there were times of persecution. The Almohad Arabs in the 12th century prohibited the practice of Judaism in Morocco, and forcible conversion to Islam occurred. Now y'all check this out now. So our people were forcibly converted. Let's look at that next paragraph. Numerous Jews, including Moses Maimonides, went east to Egypt, and a slow recovery of the Jewish life, the heritage in the West occurred after the Almohad rule diminished. The expulsions of the Jews from Spain in 1392 set off migrations of refugees. Some were practicing Jews, but later this group included conversos who wanted to go back to Judaism. So that means that they were Islamic, they were Muslims that wanted to go back to Judaism. This was not just crypto Jews that were practicing Christianity, or Moranos, Moriscos. See, our people were made to choose between this wood and stone for when we was in Spain, and even when we got banished. The Moors that were teaming up with us at one point said, you're gonna have to be this, you ain't gonna go back to your Torah. So when we thought we were free, you guys, we had another slave master. And if you guys know about the Arab slave trade, this happened before the transatlantic. And this was Arabs forcing our people to be Islamic. The history is what, if you do your history, you can see it tied to our people, but it's the same way Christianity is. A couple of truths and a lot of falsehood. So now let's go to page 451. All right. In Mali, several thousand people in Timbuktu claim some form of Jewish ancestry. Moors and Jews fleeing persecution in Spain migrated south in the 14th century to Timbuktu. part of the Songhai Empire. When you get into the Songhai, the Mali, these empires in West Africa and Lam and Negro land, these were Israelite dynasties, right? The Ashanti were prominent in this, you know, talking about the Songhai, the Mali. These were dynasties of Israelites that had genealogies. Even when you look at the richest man in history, Mansa Musa, when you look at the Beni Musa were said to be sons of Moses. So they don't tell you Mansa Musa was actually an Israelite. There's so much of this Moorish Israelite connection. So let's keep reading. Among them was the Kati family, who founded 3 villages that still exist near Timbuktu, where we get from Babylon to Timbuktu, Dr. Windsor. Askia Muhammad came to power in 1492 and forced the Jews to convert to Islam or leave. After this, Judaism became illegal in Mali. This is why the northern countries in Afriat land or in Africa, a lot of them practice Islam to this day. And this is what we say in Nigeria, the Igbo may be descended from the southern and western migrations of ancient Shemitic people and later Jewish peoples from the Middle East into West Africa. All praises. There are 3 groups: the Beni Gad, said to have descent from the tribe of Gad; the 8th son of Jacob, the Beni Zebulon, from the tribe of Zebulon; the 5th son of Jacob, and the Beni Manasseh, right? Manasseh. Beni Ephraim are different from other Nigerian Jewish groups as they live among the Yoruba in western Ghana. The House of Israel community of Sefwi Wiawaso and Sefwi Swi claim that their Sefwi ancestors are descendant of Jews who migrated south through Ivory Coast. The practice of Judaism in this community is recent and dates back to the 70s. That's what these white folks say. When they got over there, that's when it started. You don't know how long the folks was keeping that stuff, but this is what it said. The Abba Yudea, a group founded in 1919, now consists of about 600 black Ugandans who practice Judaism in eastern Uganda. Y'all gotta get this book, this Jewish Encyclopedia. There are so many tribes that they list with ties back to ancient Israel. It's unreal. But I went to that to show you how our people were forced to convert to Islam. So you had, during the time of the Moors and the Jews of Spain, a lot of Arabic names like Ibn Yusuf al-Zarid or some name that was Arabic, but the person also had a Jewish name like Dawid bin Yehuda, right? I saw that when I was reading the Book of the Traditions. I was like, man, they had multiple names because our people were like, we were slaved. We were slaved by the Muslims. We were slaved by the Christians. So is Islam the religion of the black man? It is a black religion, but it is not the religion of Israel. These Western African, Igbo, Yoruba descendants of the transatlantic, us black folks in America and scattered everywhere, it is not our rightful religion. Absolutely not. Were our people practicing it? Yes, that's where it gets complicated because we were forced to, just like Christianity, right? But our rightful practice is the heritage given to us by the Most High Yah himself, that is the laws, statutes, and commandments, the practice of Torah. Nobody has it perfect. It's like medicine. It's an art form. It's a practice. Because especially in captivity, we're learning how to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments in the faith of Yeshua till he comes, redeems us, and takes us back to that land. So with that, y'all, I hope you were blessed by this video. Peace, love, blessings, and black power to the chosen people. We are the Israelites. We are the Moors, Israelite descendants that have been scattered everywhere, and the Most High is going to redeem us. So, I am, you are, we are the same people. 12 tribes, one nation. I love you guys. Shalom. All praise.